They say the truth is unspeakable, the people unreachable. This truth is so pure, we teach the unteachable.
We feed
The destruction,
we give
the instruction,
we need
new construction,
we gotta
do something.
faith,
Education,
faith,
vocation,
hope,
emancipation,
faith.
plantation.
Critical thinkers bring power to truth. Dismantle faith, proof with unspeakable truth.
Dismantle faith, proof with unspeakable truth. Dismantle faith, proof with unspeakable truth. Hotel family, I'm not going to be long today for our 6th day of Black History Month. But I want us to use for a title today, Thug Life. Every Friday, our family comes together for a movie night. And it sounds kind of corny. And I was like, why sometimes the things that's beautiful we call corny or we make sound weak? And it goes into what T.D. Jakes was saying in his book, Emotions. And this is specifically for males, but it even generalizes to other people. You know, there's a saying, I don't want to be soft. I'm not this. I'm not going to let nobody take advantage of me. And we shouldn't. But sometimes, like, we just live like when we're ready. You know, what Cedric the Entertainer said was so true. We own the Wish Creek. I wish somebody would. And when you live like that all the time, oh, guess what? It causes tremendous stress on us mentally and physically. There's no better book I've ever read on that than The Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, because she talks about America's legacy of enduring injury and healing. What she talks about, the pain that we're going through is not just us. It's not just our pain. That's in our DNA, but it's the pain of our parents. It's the pain of our grandparents. It's the pain of our great-great-grandparents. And as you can see by this slide right here, you do the ancestral math, think about how many generations go down where there was pain, because we're not too many generations out of enslavement. So when we think about that period of enslavement, think about the hurt and the pain that was passed on to us. Family. People say, it's a mental health crisis. Yeah, it's a mental health crisis, but I'm a therapist, and guess what? I go through this stuff too. A young man that was going through some difficulty said something I thought was so profound. He said, I got mental health issues, but I'm not crazy. And I think so many of us are afraid to admit we have mental health issues because somebody's going to think we're crazy, whatever that means. Mental health issues are real. They're from everybody. But for different segments of society where you've already had generational pain, generational trauma, it's amplified and exacerbated even more. And so what I want us to think about is this: how do we have a healing? If you look at the quote on the board, Desmond Tutu said, there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. And when we look at why they're falling in, we got to start saying, okay, well, what are we going to do? We know this system is broken. And then people say, no, it's working the way it's designed to work. But yeah, it's a broken system. So how do we stop it? Do we do it in, or do we have to break up the whole system? Because if we don't, guess what? We're going to continue to get the same results. So when we start thinking about this, I want you to go back to the only answer I know how to give is I'm a revolutionary, but I don't believe there's a bigger weapon than the weapon of love. And so until we can alter the system, what do we do immediately? Well, if you listen to this quote right here by Martin Luther King, he says, since crime often grows out of a sense of futility and despair, Negro parents must be urged to give their children the love, attention, and sense of belonging that a segregated society deprives them of. Now, when you think about that, you say, well, I'm not segregated like Dr. King, but look at our housing, look at our schools, look at what's going on in our society. Our society is hurting from a local level, a state level, a national level, international level. It's always chaos, strife. But what I look and I see is I say, you know what? That generational pain that I have is in me. But then I go to the Black National Anthem and I say, you know what? I'm going to lift every voice and sing. Because there's always a reason to sing a song. There's always a reason for hope. And the same DNA that was in my ancestors that allowed them to be stolen, that allowed them to live in those dungeons, that allowed them to go through a middle passage, that allowed them to be enslaved, that allowed them to live in a society of second-class citizens and yet not only survive and thrive, that's what's in me, that's what's in us. So there's greatness within us. The question is, can we galvanize it? Can we pull it together? Because if we don't, King said it best. He said, either we will live together as brothers, we'll perish together as fools. And if we're learning anything through Black History Month, as we get our pride in learning the accomplishments of our ancestors, of people who are contemporaries, as we start to take pride in that, the question is, what do we give the people in 2072 a chance to talk about what we did. How do we become the bridge builder for the next generation to do the next great thing that allows us to propel to the next level? Yeah, we need mental health, but it's not mental health in a sense of therapy. It's mental health in the sense of love, a connectivity, of gaining back to our roots. And that's why we talked about this Sankofa. Because if we don't give love, the opposite of love is hate. And if we don't want our children out here on this thug life, then we got to catch them while they're babies. Because if we don't, the hate you give little infants will F you. Will F everybody.